What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. Over the course of the last two games, we've been talking a lot about this concept of offensive versatility. And essentially what that means is we were talking about this with the Thunder-Denver series last night, right? For Denver, they just have so many different ways that they can attack. Okay, this is a series where we're just spamming Jokic post-ups. No, this is going to be a series where we're running a ton of Jokic-Murray two-man game right in the middle of the floor. Oh, we got this matchup. Aaron Gordon is a legitimate post-matchup hunter. We can go to him there. There's a 5-out flow with ball and player movement with Jokic kind of flowing side to side and everyone involved in sweeping side-to-side action that they could go to. They have a devastating transition attack. They have just such a versatile offense that they can identify the situation and be this is the way we're going to go. Kind of for instance, late in game one, Denver spams post-ups for Jokic right in the middle of the floor because Jokic is having the greatest game of his life. Game three, Jokic is having probably the worst game I've seen him play. And all of a sudden, Jokic is still involved late and he still is looking to score, but it's a lot more diverting to Jamal Murray and letting him be aggressive in those situations. Trusting Aaron Gordon to take a big three in the left corner when he gets left open in a transition sequence. There's just, they have the ability to adapt to the surrounding circumstances. The reason why that matters is every basketball game is different. Your stars are in different rhythm from game to game, like we talked. Jamal Murray, great rhythm in game three. Jokic not. Jokic, great rhythm in game one. Murray not, right? You go into tonight's game with the Celtics. It's game one and game two, Jayson Tatum and Jalen Brown consistently kind of in a funk, out of rhythm. Tonight, Tatum and Brown in great rhythm, fundamentally different basketball game. Different role players. Tonight, this guy's really engaged, locked in. He's doing his job. He's not making mistakes. He's hitting shots. Well, this next game, he's just a little bit more off in those areas. That's why they're role players. Role players are inherently inconsistent. If they were amazing at knocking down catch and shoot threes and amazing at defending every single night, they'd be a $30 million player on the wing. That's what that type of position, a bona fide great two-way 3-and-D wing is a $30 million player in today's league. And so the point is there is a lot of inherent inconsistency in the way basketball games go. So, for instance, the Celtics have a core basketball philosophy. Their willingness to create advantages, hunting mismatches, and to drive and kick for quality catch and shoot threes. That's their foundational approach on the offensive end of the floor. Game one, they just played the dumbest half of basketball I've ever seen. There's not a whole lot to get into other than they just played really dumb basketball in the second half. Game two was very different. Their core philosophy failed them. They played Celtics basketball just fine in the second half and missed shots. Now, they didn't have another method that they could go to. We'll talk more about that concept in a little bit. But the point is that their core offensive philosophy failed. Tonight was a classic example of the Celtics core formula working and working extremely well. We've all seen the Celtics win exactly that type of game 100 times over the last couple of years. They came right out and hit 6 of their first 7 threes, and they were the same types of shots they were missing in the first 2 games. Tatum hits a pull-up 3 and against drop coverage. Jaylen Brown, same shot he bricks at the tail end of game 2, that drop coverage 3 right at the top of the key, hits it to start this game. Derek White hits a contested step-back 3 in a late clock situation. Cat sinks in a little too far off of Al Horford, swing pass. There's a contest, but Horford knocks down that mildly contested 3 that he was missing in the first 2 games of the series. You could feel the confidence dynamic completely swing after that happened. Boston only had one 30-point quarter in the entire series before today. Then they had 2 back-to-back 35-point quarters to start today's game. Peyton Pritchard exploded for 23 points. The Celtics offense hummed at the level we knew they were capable of humming at because we've seen it 100 times. They got that engine going. New York just folded from there. And by the way, Boston's defense was incredible. We're about to talk about that in a minute. But New York also just kind of lost their confidence and played some really poor offensive basketball. Brunson all the way down. Cat was the guy hitting a couple shots early in the game, but he was the primary defensive culprit. No one was really playing well. Mikal and OG were both out of rhythm. Josh Hart's first couple catch and shoot threes were like very clearly very short, right out of his hand. Like you could just tell everybody was like shook by the way that Boston was playing. And they were just never able to recover. Now, again, there will be different types of games in this series. Let's shelf that concept for just a second. I want to just shout out Boston's defense. I thought down the line, everyone was great. Tatum and Brown switching in and out of action with pressure and physicality. Efforts at the rim from Derek White. Drew Holiday did another great job on Jalen Brunson tonight. But I want to specifically highlight the bigs because I thought Horford, Porzingis, and Kornet were all amazing in this game. Kornet continues to impress. He's become like a legitimate playoff rotation piece for this team, especially in the universe where Hauser is injured. But like all three of the bigs just kicked New York's butt on both ends as athletes. They combined for 6 blocks with their efforts around the rim. Horford and Kornet had 5 offensive rebounds. Those dudes were throwing people around like rag dolls to try to find offensive rebounding opportunities. I just thought all 3 of those guys played with more force than the New York front court and really controlled this game. I mean, like, this was the first game of the series where the Mitchell Robinson minutes did not go New York's way. They just got physically dominated while also throwing a great offensive punch, and the result is 30-point lead, completely insurmountable. Yeah, there's a couple of third-quarter pushes from the Knicks, but when you're pushing down from 31, it's different than when you're pushing down from 20. The 8-0 run doesn't cut the lead to 12 and light the crowd on fire. The 8-0 run cuts the lead to 23. And it's a bigger lead than it was even in those peak moments in Game 1 and Game 2. Now, looking forward in this series, couple of things. For the Knicks, I still think they're conceding too many openings. What I mean by that is like in their natural ball screen coverages, when they're hedging and recovering with Brunson, but mainly the drop with Cat, they're getting fried in those situations. They were giving up quality looks in those situations in the first 2 games. They just weren't going in. They have consistently been better in this series when they've just switched and contained the ball. Simple stat to demonstrate this tonight. The Celtics shredded the Knicks in pick and roll. They got an offensive rating over 120, including passes on ball screens, where they were using some sort of traditional ball screen coverage. Post-ups and ISOs, Boston ran 27 post-ups and ISOs in this game and got just 16 points out of them. It's very clear in the numbers that when they switch and contain, there are examples where, Tatum's got Cat on the wing and they just kind of gap off of him pretty well and he's kind of sitting up there stunting and they just throw a swing pass and get out of it. Like, they're not doing a good job hunting these things one-on-one. They're just taking advantage of the natural openings. Like, oh, you're going to concede a pick and pop 3 to Horford. That's going in. Oh, you're going to sit back Cat like in a deep drop coverage against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like, yeah, they've been missing their pull-up threes in this series, but they're certainly capable of making them. And so I still think their pathway moving forward is switch, contain, bait them into those poor isolation decisions. And then for the Celtics, as I mentioned, there will be very different types of games in this series. Just purely jump shooting result. Boston got 1.28 points per jump shot tonight. The Knicks got 0.85. Another simple way to explain that is over the course of 100 jump shots, the Celtics produced at a rate of 43 points more per 100 jump shots than the Knicks. They outshot the shit out of them tonight, okay? That will probably happen again in this series. Like, I think we all could probably agree this series is going at least 6. And there's going to be another game in this series where Boston just does what they did tonight, and you basically just shake their hand and say congrats on the win. But there will be different types of games. There will be a game, for instance, where the Knicks just shoot better. And if they do, it's a closer game. And if they do, there's more pressure on some of these tougher shots that Boston's taking. And it's very possible that they find themselves in a situation where they go cold and the Knicks get a bunch of momentum and it's early fourth quarter and all of a sudden that 13-point third quarter lead for Boston is down to 5. The crowd is raucous. There's a timeout called. Boston goes in their next couple of possessions, misses a couple of threes, and it's like, what do you do now? Because if you allow that situation to play out, and you stay cold like you did in the first 2 games, It doesn't matter what kind of large volume production you're getting from your three-point shot if you can't score on those key possessions late, while Jalen Brunson has been the best closer in the league this season, and he's killing you on the other end of the floor. And so that's where I want to see what Boston does. There will be, if Boston's going to win this series, they got to win 4 out of 5 games. I find it highly unlikely that they just shoot the piss out of the basketball 4 straight times and win the series. Maybe they do, but I think if Boston's going to win this series, they're going to have to win another one of those ugly rock fights. And I'll just be really curious to see what Boston's attack looks like when they end up in that situation.